Hello everyone, I'm Lauren from Lauren's Lovely Loops. In this video, I will be showing you how to crochet this frog coaster. This great springtime project is beginner friendly and quick to make. If you're interested in the written pattern, you can find it linked in the description box below. To make this project, you will need any medium weight yarn in whatever color you want to use for the body, and you'll also need black for the eyes and mouth. You will also need a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. To start, you are going to make a magic ring using your main color. Then, once we have the magic ring, we are going to chain 2. And double crochet 12 into the magic ring. Now that I have my 12 double crochets, I'm going to tighten my magic ring. Now, we're going to find the first stitch of the round, which you can find by counting back 12 stitches. And in that stitch, we are going to do a slip stitch. We have now completed round 1. To start round 2, we are going to begin by chaining 2. And in the first stitch, which will always be the same stitch we slip stitched to at the end of the previous round, and we're going to double crochet 2 in that stitch. For round 2, we are just going to do 2 double crochets in every stitch around. So since we've already done 2 double crochets in the first stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next 11 stitches. So 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Continuing until the end of round 2. Once we've completed all of our double crochets, we're going to find the first stitch of the round, which you can find by counting back 24 stitches, and we're going to slip stitch to join. And that is the end of round 2. For round 3, start by chaining 2 and double crocheting 1 into the first stitch. Then, in the next stitch, we are going to double crochet 2. This is the pattern we are going to be repeating all the way around for round 3. Single crocheting 1 in the next stitch and 2 in the next stitch. So single crochet 1 and single crochet 2. All the way around for round 3. Once you have completed all of your double crochets, find the first stitch of the round, which you can find by counting back 36 stitches, and slip stitch in that stitch to join the round. Now, pull the loop on the hook slightly larger and pull on the back of the loop to tighten the slip stitch as much as possible. And that is the end of round 3. To start round 4, we're going to skip the first stitch of the round and loosely slip stitch into the next stitch. We are going to loosely slip stitch in the next 12 stitches. Make sure that you don't slip stitch too tight or it will affect the shape of the coaster. Once you've completed those 12 slip stitches, you are going to insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through the last 2. Then, in the second stitch you just worked into, we're going to do 4 double crochets. Then, we are going to insert our hook into the same stitch again, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Then yarn over and pull through the last 2. Then, we are going to loosely slip stitch in the next 4 stitches. As you can see, we've just made the place where the first eye is going to go, and now we're going to repeat those steps for the second eye. So insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Then in the second stitch we just worked into, we are going to do 4 double crochets. Then we are going to insert our hook into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Then we are going to loosely slip stitch in the next 12 stitches. Then we are going to cut the yarn, leaving a tail to do an invisible join. And pull the last loop through. Then we're going to put the tail end through our yarn needle. Then we are going to find the first slip stitch of round 4 and go through that stitch. Then we're going to come back around and go through the back loop of the last stitch of round 4. Then we're going to tighten that until it looks the same as the other stitches. And then weave in your ends to finish. As you can see, I've weaved in my ends, and all that's left now is to sew the eyes and mouth. To sew the eyes, we are going to take our black yarn and our yarn needle, and we're going to come up from the back of the coaster at the side of the first bump. Then we're going to go across to the other side and back through. To make the eye, we're just going to continue making lines above and below the original line so that it becomes more of an oval shape. And you can see the shape of the eye starting to form. I've gone ahead and finished the first eye. And what we're going to do now is trim the ends of the black yarn. And tie them together. So for the first one, you don't want to do it too tight so that it doesn't affect the way the eye looks. But then for the second one, you can do it a lot tighter. Then you're just going to weave in the ends. When you're weaving in the ends, you do want to make sure that the black does not show up on the front of the coaster. Okay, I've now weaved in my ends, and as you can see, you can't see it from the front side of the coaster. This was another one I did, and you can see that there's a tiny bit of black on the back, but there's none at all on the front. And this is another one where there's a lot more black on the back, but you still can't see it from the front. So it's up to you how well you hide the black at the back of the coaster. And for the second eye, we're just going to repeat everything we just did for the first one. So creating a line going across, and then creating more to the top and bottom until it becomes an oval. As you can see, I've just finished the second eye, and now it's time to do the mouth. So again, just taking our black yarn and our yarn needle. And you're going to want to find the 2 stitches that are kind of in between both eyes on round 2. And we're going to go through the top of those stitches between row 2 and 3. So that we have a line. Then we're going to go back through in the middle of those stitches a little bit below the original line. But when you go through, make sure that you're going around the other tail of the yarn. Then we're just going to go up through the first line and then back through where we just came out. Then you can adjust it a little bit to get the look that you want. Then again, we're going to cut the excess and knot it at the back. Making sure that that first knot is not too tight. Then we're just going to weave in the ends to finish. And once your ends are weaved in, you will have a finished frog coaster. Here's what the front and back look like. And the finished coaster is about 3.5 inches wide by 3 3/4 inches tall. Thank you for watching to the end. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And again, if you're interested, the written pattern will be linked in the description box below.